Now, I know what I think your major obstacle in the campaign was. What do you think were some of the major obstacles in your campaign, Krissy?
Well, name recognition. She's been, our representative for 20 years, and that's enormous. And the press was clearly biased in her favor. And the fact that she can refuse to do a debate and get away with it is, another thing. So all the kind of normal things. It's interesting, the Greens are successful in this town in the races where money is not that important. And so we need to look at how much money affects who actually gets to be in power and then who gets to maintain their power. Clearly, when I was running against Pelosi wasn't running. She had already run. She's been running for the last 20 years, so she didn't even really need to bust out a sign or a placard or a bumper sticker. But, she had the Chronicle in her corner. It took everything we could to crack the story that we got with them, and do the interview that I did. But, they did that, like I said earlier, they did 100 and how many pieces on her? One after another, after another, after another, after another. So just on that, she had a $1 million campaign. And she didn't even have to spend a dime on it.
And not one of those pieces did they ever cover her voting record.
No,
and I was very conscious of that. And I'm wondering if we can look at some of them right now. If we can look at maybe the front page of the Chronicle from November 3rd. If you could find that and roll that in. There it is. This is 3 dirty words, San Francisco values. This is from Friday, November 3rd, just a few days before the election. And they're talking about how the Republicans are trying to smear the Democrats with Nancy Pelosi. But what the Chronicle didn't cover at all was her voting record in Congress, which was abominable. Can you talk about that at all?
I think you're actually the best person to talk about it. You are so good at talking about her voting record.
Okay, how many people
I'll talk
out
about
there?
the 3 dirty words, and then you
you talk about that, and then I'll talk about the voting.
Well, actually, that she did not represent San Francisco values was our mantra that was our campaign mantra, saying that our campaign represented San Francisco values, which was a platform of deep-rooted social justice, and that Pelosi's issues and voting record on the war, on the Israeli-Palestine issue, on global warming, on the Patriot Act, on Not One Child Left Behind, are not progressive votes. And we were claiming the campaign of progressive of San Francisco, the progressive city that needed representation, that represented the city. And I actually feel like they culled a lot from what we were saying, reframed it, and gave it back to her nationally, that San Francisco's, the 3 dirty words were San Francisco values. And somehow she was linked up with that negative thing, but it was actually our thing that we were cheerleading about, who we were and who Chris is and who we want our representatives to be on the board and in the mayor's office and on the board of supervisors and the school board. We want San Francisco values to set a tone for the rest of the country. And I would say, even if our values don't get to the center of the discussion, we don't have a future. And I believe that wholeheartedly, that we are in very critical times, and that the values that, that are represented here, that we are talking about, we should be debating these issues every single day, not something in relationship to how they're thinking in Cincinnati, Ohio, which is, neo-Nazism. Really, if you really want to get clear and talk directly about how they think in my hometown, Cincinnati, it's scary how they think. And it's coming out. It's coming out. And what happened with the cops that killed all those people in the car? Those guys on the way to their wedding, the African-American people in Brooklyn.
Do we have a phone call?
Yeah.
We have a phone call.